Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you're listening to this show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, just like the Founding Fathers. And glad to be with you for episode 257. Tagline for this show is some good news too. Got a lot of topics to talk about, and as usual, the Regressives have given us plenty of fodder to talk about all the stupid things they do. As one very well-known talk show host said, liberalism is a mental disease, and I think that's true. But in addition to all these stupid things that they've been doing, we've also got some positive topics. It's a bit of a change, and more than just one. And I know probably about a year ago I said I wanted to try and get more positive news in there. Sort of difficult, but managed to get some for tonight. So, you know, I would almost say with no further ado, let's get going, and I want to start obviously with my weekly commentary, a mishmash of short, quick topics before we get to the ones that are going to take a little bit longer. And the weekly commentary starts with a question. The question is, do black lives really matter? Sounds kind of controversial, but we know from Ferguson, from Staten Island, and now yet another case where a police officer shot, in this case, a biracial unarmed boy, that the crowds get out on the street and start chanting Black Lives Matter, and, you know, hands up, don't shoot, and all that crazy nonsense, which has more than been proven to be totally inappropriate. However, a few weeks ago, there was a news item, and I haven't brought this forward in any detail, but there was a news item about an illegal immigrant who killed a young unarmed black. So, if you're killed by an illegal immigrant, then black lives don't matter, because we haven't seen any protests, right, at all. And what did Sharpton, the Reverend, is he really a Reverend, or is that just his name, Jackson, Holder, Obama, and the lamestream media, what did they say about this young boy that was killed by the illegal immigrant? That's right. Crickets. They said absolutely nothing. Now, imagine if this illegal had been a white US citizen, or worse still, one of those evil racist cops. It just goes to show that all these other situations are really trumped up situations that people, activists, community organizers are using to further their own agenda. Very, very obviously. Otherwise, they would have been out for this young boy as well. And it's just, you know, it to me, yes, there are some cops who tend to go too far. But do you really think that the cops going out there every day with their guns and thinking, okay, which black person can I shoot today? No, they don't. Of course, when they get attacked, and it turns out in this most recent case, just like in the Ferguson case, Michael Brown attacked the cop, and here the same thing, the cop was called out on a 9/11 call, and this young boy started attacking him, hitting him. We'll call him a young boy, let's call him what he is, a thug, because he's stupid enough to attack a cop who has a gun. He knows he has a gun, while he himself is unarmed. He's an idiot. He's an idiot thug. That's all he is. I mean, really totally stupid. So, really ridiculous that you think these cops are going out to do this deliberately. No. Now, again, was deadly force absolutely necessary in this case? Maybe not. But are you in his shoes? Think about all the cops that do get shot, do get hurt by young thugs like this. He might not have known. The guy might have reached for something in his pants. Didn't have a gun, but how is the cop to know? I mean, we don't know, and people are just jumping to conclusions again. So, I mean, this is just totally ridiculous. But that is the regressive hypocrisy. And there's more. Of course, there's much more. So let's talk about what the left is saying, the 47 traitors. Yes, the brave senators, all of them Republicans, because there wasn't any of the lily-livered Democrats who would even dare do this, who wrote a letter, an open letter, to the government in Iran, to the mullahs over there, saying, well, our dear friend, your friend, Khalif Hussein, is negotiating some kind of agreement with you about your nuclear aspirations, but this will not become a treaty unless it goes through the government, the Senate, the Congress. And it's the Senate, according to the Constitution, that has to advise and consent. Well, Obama has not done any discussions whatsoever with the Senate on this particular topic, much as he did nothing with the Congress, at least with the Republican side. Who knows what he told the Democrats, but absolutely nothing with the Republicans about Cuba. All these things going on, he's just totally ignoring the Congress, trying to minimize them, and using Harry Reid with the filibuster to basically just take over and stop anything coming through that they don't like. In other words, who's the party of no? Yes, the Democrats are. But doesn't it just really absolutely make you sick the way that King Barry is totally ignoring the Congress? So he's doing these negotiations with Iran, and the senators basically said, well, mullahs, just be aware that while King Barry can sign some sort of agreement with you, and he can even make his Department of State and the executive branch live up to that agreement, there's going to be enough people who are going to vote against it getting through the Senate that when the next president comes in, it'll be totally null and void. So just don't get your hopes up. Of course, the left got in all of a tizzy, said, oh, you shouldn't have done this, open letter directly to the mullahs. You should have discussed it with Obama. We tried discussing with Obama. I know exactly how the senators feel. That guy just shuts them out from everything. Why would they even waste their breath talking to him? Because he doesn't listen. He's just a capital asshole. And I apologize to anybody who's listening with young children, but that's exactly the description that we should have. So he himself is stupid because he's doing all these things. He's not involving the Republicans. He has no intention of sharing any of his power, and he's grabbing as much power as he can. And the Democrats especially in Congress, the Democrats especially, but also the stupid, wishy-washy Republican establishment are just letting him get away with it, and they're giving away their own power. They are total idiots doing this. Why they're doing it. And then you've got people like Tom Cotton and most of the senators in the Senate who signed this letter, who are beginning to stand up and say, no, we do not accept what this guy is doing. And yeah, just so many things like that. We have to stand up to him, and they have to use the power of the person. They've got to get over this fear of shutting down the government. They gave it away last week or 2 weeks ago. They gave away the opportunity there with the Homeland Security funding. Just absolutely disgusting, and this is what we voted them in on. This is what they campaigned on, and they did not do what we wanted. Well, folks, it's time to get rid of the bums. And I'll say it again, time to get rid of the establishment bums. Anyway, getting a little riled up there, so let's... I think it's time for another quick topic. And another topic on which I can get riled up. Yes, the hypocrisy of Khalif Hussein. And this was something I read online, rightly reminding us that King Barry, a couple of years ago, actually hosted the Muslim Brotherhood candidate for the president of Egypt about 10 days before the election. Now, when a couple of weeks ago, Bibi Netanyahu, no, what was it? I think just a week ago maybe, when Bibi Netanyahu was here, what did King Barry say? No, we can't have him here because there's an election within 2 weeks. So how come the Muslim Brotherhood could come in, but Bibi is off limits? Or shall the truth be spoken? Is it actually Bibi the Jew that is not welcome? I think it's the latter. And that set me thinking. Are the Jews as a people in general so gullible? I know there's lots of clever Jews, but in general, on average, are they really so gullible to continue to vote for the Democrats with a leader like this who is just so obviously anti-Semitic? And yes, there I've said it. I think he's anti-Semitic. Why do they continue to support the Caliph, the rest of the Democrats, and now coming up Hitlery? And I was thinking, and this is maybe a little controversial, but is this why the Nazis were able to carry out their horrific ethnic cleansing with little or no resistance? Of course, except perhaps the ghetto uprising in Warsaw. But did these people, were they so gullible and in the 40s of the last century? Don't the Jews in America today see that the White House is supporting the Middle Eastern anti-Semites? In some cases indirectly, but in some cases even directly. Come on, wake up, folks. You've got to stop voting for them. They don't have your interests at heart. But okay, we'll see. And I think it's time for yet another little topic. Although, no, maybe we will wait for a moment, because I see it's time for the commercials coming up, and got to play the commercials, got to pay for the rent. Remember, if you are interested in any of these services, please use the 800 number in the commercial, as that actually helps support the show. I will be back shortly.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thanks for sticking with me through that break. Interesting little break there. I was able to get into the chat room, and just a reminder, if you are listening live to the show, and I know most of my listeners don't actually listen live, but if you're listening live, get on over to the chat room. Interesting discussions going on there. And we found out my good friend Rex that's in there has been partaking of adult beverages all night, so I wanted to just throw in a little extra thing, a little personal thing here. Hopefully this week, my new my birthday present, which is coming early because the birthday is until next month, but is actually going to be shipped from Seattle hopefully this week. And what it is, it's a beer brewing machine. Yes, a beer brewing machine. I didn't know they had those, but I found out they did, and I thought that was a nice toy to have. I kind of describe it as beer's equivalent of a bread machine, and yeah, very interesting. All computer controlled. It's Wi-Fi. You control it from the internet. And yeah, it does most of the brewing work for you. So that looking forward to receiving that, and got myself a kegerator on order. Going to have a brew board, chalkboard that I can write on what brews I have. I'm going to have three little kegs that I can put my beer into and different flavors. It's going to be great fun. So. Yeah, and Rex is asking, send me info on that. Yes, Rex, I will do that after the show, or maybe tomorrow, but I will send you. There's a couple of them out there, but this is a nice Made in America one, and it seems to have lots of very good reviews. Looked on some of the beer brewing forums, and yeah, very interesting. Takes a lot, it takes some of the work out of it, and some people say, well, that's not crafting beer. But on the other hand, plenty of people out there that say, well, I'm brewing a lot more than I used to because I have the machine, because it's just so easy to do. So okay, anyway, let's go back to the weekly summary. And before the break, we were talking about the 47 Republican senators that stood up to Obama and sent the open letter. Now, there are some people that said, yeah, they shouldn't have maybe addressed it to the Mullahs. Maybe. Somebody suggested a better thing would have been just to have an open letter addressed to Obama. Now, we know he doesn't listen, but by having an open letter like that, the Mullers would have heard about it and it would have given them that same warning. So technically, they wouldn't have been as off base there. Some of the left have, been calling them traitors, etc., and saying that they've been violating the Logan Act. Well, again, it's a grey area, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then how, while they can say that, what about the left themselves? They have done this often enough as well. But of course, when the Republicans do it, then that's when they shout, and of course they have the LSM along with them. And then everybody hears it. So it has to be shows like mine and the other shows on Red State Talk Radio that really get the news out and tell you the truth, which is the Democrats have done it far more often than the Republicans have ever done it, and in much worse ways. They've actually negotiated and talked directly to dictators and enemies of the US, whereas here these guys didn't. All they said was, hey, just be aware, this is what the Constitution says, and therefore if Barry doesn't follow the Constitution and doesn't allow us to advise and consent, anything he does can and will be overturned when we get a Republican president in, which we are definitely going to get in 2016. But anyway, so the Logan Act, what is that? The Logan Act is a federal statute making it a crime for a citizen to confer with foreign governments against the interests of the United States. So again, what is that open letter to the Mullers? Is that conferring with? Again, you could say so, but you can also say against the interests of the United States. It prohibits citizens from negotiating with other nations, but the government can, and these were 47 senators who are part of the government. So the question is there, it doesn't actually say that it's only the executive that can confer or negotiate with other nations. It just says the government, and again, so that's where it gets into a grey area. And Rex rightly says there are other Democrats did it, and I'll be getting to that, Rex, definitely. So let's have a look at some of the exact wording. It says, any citizen of the United States, wherever he may be, who, without authority of the United States, directly or indirectly commences or carries on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government or any officer or agent thereof, with intent to influence the measures or conduct of any foreign government or of any officer or agent thereof in relation to any disputes or controversies with the United States, or to defeat the measures of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years. Okay, so if senators are not government and they're citizens, you look at this, carries on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government or any officer or agent thereof, so an open letter to them. Again, pushing the bounds there a bit, Senator Cotton and the other 46. But again, there is one good thing about the Logan Act. Nobody's been indicted under the Logan Act since 1803, so it's not so likely. But then again, if we are talking about the Logan Act, and it's any citizen, so if the senators are not supposed to do it, right, directly or indirectly carries on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government, then let's look at this. In Afghanistan, July 20th, 2008, this was before the election, there was a senator who met with Afghan President Hamid Karzai, and the senator reiterated his call for additional forces to deal with conditions that he described as precarious and urgent. And he met with US military and the leaders of Afghanistan about whether the US has the right strategy and resources and to support lasting stability in Afghanistan. The message from the senator to the Afghan government was this: we want a strong partnership based on more for more resources from the United States and NATO, and more action from the Afghan government. He then went to Iraq, to the Anbar province, held talks with Sunni tribal leaders, stated there's security progress, but now we need a political solution. And he repeated his goal of withdrawing US combat troops from Iraq within 16 months, should he become president. Yes, the senator we're talking about is a certain Barack Hussein Obama, or as we also like to call him, Khalif Hussein, Ramadi in Iraq. King Barry met with the militiamen of the US-backed Awakening Council's movement, and they told him that any withdrawal of US forces from Anbar should be carried out cautiously. So they warned him about what was going to happen, but he went ahead and did it. But he was talking to them, he had intercourse with them, and he was trying to influence them, right? That same year, Obama met with Nouri Maliki, and so Maliki was telling Obama that they wanted the US troops out earlier. Obama was having discussions with him. And John McCain, who was his opponent in the at that time was campaigning, said he was completely wrong to press for withdrawal timetables. So he was trying to influence people at that same time. The Iraqi foreign minister is on record stating that Obama tried to interfere with ongoing negotiations with the Iraqi leaders while on his trip to Iraq. So he was doing this while he was a senator, but not acting on behalf of the government. He was acting by himself. So why hasn't he been charged under the Logan Act? Exactly. But the left's going to call for it to be used against the other 47 senators, but they wouldn't dare of thinking doing it against their anointed leader. Well, anyway. And as I promised, how about the Democrats who have done exactly that over the past years? A number of them. I haven't got all of them, but let's see. The big one, of course, was Nancy Pelosi, who met with Assad in Syria, was seen hobnobbing with Assad after a specific request from G.W. Bush not to go there. Now, so the government was specifically asking her not to do that, and she went anyway. So she's a citizen. If they think the senators should be indicted, why wasn't she indicted? But not just Princess Pelosi. What about Dick Durbin going to meet with Saddam Hussein when H.W. Bush was fighting him? Another one. What about giving aid and comfort to the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong when while his compatriots were fighting against the Viet Cong, like the current Secretary of State? Yes, Mr. John Kerry. And here's a very good one that we don't talk a lot about, and I didn't know about, but was very interesting to hear. What about the person that went behind the back of Ronald Reagan and told the Russians, don't worry, Reagan's going to lose, and when he loses, things will change, and will you please help me get elected instead of Ronald Reagan? And you know who said that? Yeah, that great hero of the left, the drunken, philandering, girl-killing Ted Kennedy. So the left is very good at it, and nobody says anything about it. But of course, when the Republicans do it, anything close, then they're screaming blue murder. Okay, folks, it looks like it's time for the next commercial break. Stick with me. I've got some more good news, a couple of good news topics, and again, this is a long weekly summary. But the topics are actually a bit long for the weekly summary, but who cares? We got to get the good news out.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And welcome back. We're into the second half of the show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, and glad to be with you. Before we go any further, I want to remind any liberals out there listening that there is one thing that all you regressive constantly forget, and I want to remind any wavering conservatives, any wavering Republicans, any wavering libertarians, this is what we should stand up for as well.
And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Man's old age dream, the ultimate in individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant heap of totalitarianism.
Imagine there's no liberals. It's easy if you try. No traitors among us who push common sense aside. Imagine all the liberals and they have gone away. Ooh. Imagine there's no Hillary. It isn't hard to do. No Nancy Pelosi, no Cindy Sheehan too. Imagine all the liberals have moved to Canada. Ooh. You may say I'm a hater for not liking liberal scum. It's because they live in La La Land with their heads stuck up their bum. Imagine no mainstream media. I wonder if you can. No New York Times or CBS. No need for CNN. Imagine all the liberals sailing out to sea. Ooh. You may say I'm a hater for not liking liberal scum. It's because they live in La La Land with their heads stuck up their bum.
Yes, that was Imagine There's No Liberals. Apologies to the live listeners. Apparently I forgot to click my mute button, so there was a couple of minutes of silence there, but I am back, hopefully. And I will have to go back once the show is recorded and insert the small that couple of minutes, just exhorting people to listen to the show and share it with their friends. So you didn't miss very much tonight, folks. And let's go on. I promised you some good news. I'm going to start with the first bit because it came up talking about the fact that a lot of these regressives don't have any integrity, can't be trusted, and Hillary with her whole email debacle is one. And if, to be honest, if this whole email thing doesn't derail her chances for the White House, then America deserves everything they get if she even becomes a candidate. I think it'd be easy to defeat her if we've got somebody of principle. And we do have some principled politicians, believe it or not. And that's what I would like to, that's one of the good news topics I want to talk about. And the politician in question was one who has a very important role in Washington. And a while back, he was invited to a fundraiser being hosted by the Virginia Republican Party. Now, when you hear what the theme of the party was going to be, then you'll know which politician I'm talking about. The fundraiser was called Beyond Benghazi, and they were charging at least $75 a ticket with donations up to $5,000, according to the National Review. Now, back in May of 2014, when, yes, Trey Gowdy had been appointed to lead this select committee, he had pledged on 3 separate occasions not to raise money off of Benghazi. So he'd said he would never do that. So did this, and he did on MSNBC, CNN, and he also criticized the NRCC, the National Republican, one of the National Republican groups, for using Benghazi to raise money in that same appearance. And he also did so on Fox News. So, of course, the left-wing website started hammering him on that, and saying they should call Gowdy a hypocrite. Well, as soon as Gowdy found out what the theme of this particular event was, he cancelled. He said nope. He had cancelled his involvement with the event, and I'm pretty certain that if, as a congressman, if you go to one of these events, that a certain amount of the money raised is going to be going to your campaign. So he was losing money by not speaking there, and he didn't go. He said, I'm not. He actually put out a press release. He has never raised money using Benghazi, and he will not speak about Benghazi at fundraising events. And because he was made aware of the group's plan, he said he's no longer participating in the event. So there we have a politician with principle. Can you believe that? Okay, but we still have another good news topic. And the other good news is, and this is related to something that I've talked about before on the show. This is the federal judge who blocked the executive amnesty order and said you can't let this go through, because if you do, basically the genie is out of the bottle, and while the constitutionality, the legality of this executive order is being discussed, you should not take action to implement it, because that's not right. Because if it turns out a year down the road that it's unconstitutional and illegal, and you've given out all these things, it's impossible to change. So he said you have to stop. Now, that federal judge was challenged by Obama's legal team because they wanted him to release his stay and just let them go ahead. Instead of doing that, the judge actually ordered Obama's legal team to appear in the judge's courtroom shortly. March 19th, they have to appear. And the reason for that is they allegedly lied about what the government had already done with regard to granting rights and privileges to a number of illegal immigrants. They told the judge they had not started, but apparently the Justice Department made an astonishing admission that the Obama administration had misled the federal judge about actions already undertaken as a result of the executive order. So they had lied to the judge. Boy, it doesn't get any better than that. Now, is anything going to happen? I think they should be disbarred, but who knows? But anyway, so the judge is calling them to the carpet, and he's definitely not going to give them what they want in terms of lifting the stay that he's put on that. And this could be the end of that amnesty, because it can take a year or 2 years before it reaches the Supreme Court, and as long as that stays in effect, they shouldn't be doing anything. Now, of course, this government just ignores the law anyway, but we'll see. But it's good news. Somebody finally standing up to the thugs of Washington. Okay, folks, time for one more commercial break. Hopefully after this commercial break I will not forget the mute button, but I will be back shortly.
Reporting from the eye of the storm. This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks. And I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again. I'm predicting this storm front is heading your way, so call Basement Systems and relax.
Call 800-205-8665 for your free in-home inspection, or visit basementradiooffer.com. That's 800-205-8665, or visit basementradiooffer.com.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-750-5371. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-750-5371. That's 877-750-5371.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. Well, folks, they say time flies when you're having fun, and we're into the final segment of the show, and still a bunch of topics that I wanted to handle. Another piece of good news, and I think it's going to be just a total weekly summary show this week. And this was in reply to Hillary's little press conference today, when she said she'd set up this private email account because she only wanted to carry around one piece of electronic equipment. Well, she's already proven that she's a total liar on that. So again, no integrity, no trust. How we can even think about ever electing her, I don't know. But this was a picture that the real woman that should be president, Sarah Palin, sent out, and she said, so Hillary isn't capable enough to handle 2 email devices? Where does that set the bar? And it's a picture of herself with a phone in one hand, a phone on the table, and her baby Trig on the other arm. And the left normally takes great delight in slamming Sarah Palin, trying to poke fun at her intelligence. But, she is one smart cookie, and she can even do 3 things at once, which it turns out the old lady Clinton is not able to do. But Clinton is very good at lying, because it turns out just a couple of weeks ago she was on a show and she actually confessed that she had an iPhone, a BlackBerry, an iPad, and an iPad mini. Excuse me, an iPhone and a BlackBerry. So this is after she left state. So if she's got an iPhone and a BlackBerry, why couldn't she carry 2 phones when she was at state? Of course, it's obvious, folks. It's just that they could control what was available when they had to deliver emails. They control what goes in there. Folks, this is the biggest cover-up ever. This is worse than Nixon, and nothing is going to happen with it. This is absolutely disgusting. So, okay, well, how are we doing? Do we have time? Okay, let's see if we can squeeze this in very quickly. We don't have a lot of time. Another piece of good news. Glenn Beck had an author that I used to follow, he had a blog. The author's called Trevor Loudon. He had a political blog. He's from New Zealand, but he used to comment on American politics. And he was on with Glenn Beck, and he said that he believed Ted Cruz could be the leader America needs to lead it. And to secure his nomination, Trevor suggested a rather unusual strategy. Now, this is one that I think I suggested before as well for the 2012 election, and of course nobody listened to me, but I think it's a good thing. He said Cruz should name his cabinet before the election and run as a team. Be very open, transparent, and say, here are the people that I'm going to elect. And then Trevor Loudon was suggesting people like John Bolton for state. Can you imagine our enemies quaking in their boots if you get John Bolton there? Sarah Palin at Energy, how about that? I mean, there's a bunch of good people that they could pull in. Scott Walker at the Department of Labor, or maybe Scott Walker as a vice president. Lots of good things going on. And Ted Cruz, kind of known as being a little bit out on the right-wing side of things, but he could quite easily, say, bring in people who are more middle of the road so we get a good broad spectrum of Republicans in his cabinet, and that would encourage a lot of Republicans to vote for him, both conservatives and those that are more middle of the road. I think Trevor's onto something there. But anyway, will that happen? I don't know. Loudon thinks that, he said, things have changed so much. Instead of being between Republicans and Democrats, it's basically between constitutionalists and the communists, and then there's a bunch of people in the middle that are just sort of doing all sorts of strange things. So, we see that I think he's right. It is a very polarized, very, very polarized political scene. And then the people in the middle, like the establishment GOP, they just want to go along with everybody and get as much power as they can. That's all they're in it for. So, okay, folks, once again, the clock is ticking. We're reaching the end, and I do have to say to you folks, thanks for coming. Remember, tell your friends. I will be back again next week, and we will see what other strange things have happened and what the regressive dished up. And maybe I can find some more good news. I know I've got some more topics that I wasn't able to handle tonight, but I apologize for that. But, I only have this hour, so folks, thanks for coming. I'll say TTFN, and please join me next week. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patriot Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.